Jo with stampingjo.com and welcome to this week's Stamping 411 video. I am super excited about this one. It uses a new type of paper that we have and a really fun little technique that you can use. So let's get started. To make this card, you're going to need a few different pieces of cardstock. So I started out with Pool Party, which is cut to 5.5 by 8.5. Then our Whisper White cardstock cut to 4 by 5 1/4. The Night of Navy cardstock 3 3/4 by 5. And then our brand new velvet sheets. I don't think you can see that very well on camera, but it has such a beautiful feeling. It's super soft and feels just like velvet. And I cut that one to 3.5 by 4. And then lastly, we have one more little piece of cardstock, which is cut to 3/4 inch by 3 1/4. So as always, I'm going to start with just folding my card. So line up those ends, use your bone folder, and just make that really nice crease. So that is the first step. We're going to take our Whisper White cardstock next. And I'm just going to take my snail adhesive and just adhere that right to the base of my card. So just in the middle, and usually you'll always see that I do my layers generally 1/4 inch difference. So that means that you have 1/8 over here and 1/8 and 1/8 and 1/8. And there you go. All right, next we're going to take our Night of Navy cardstock, and for this we're going to use our Whisper White ink pad. This one is a craft ink. If you've used it before, you know that it's really kind of like a foam and pretty gooey, so you want to be a little bit careful. But the Snow is Glistening stamp set, which is what I'm focusing on this month, has these beautiful little polka dots, and that's what I'm going to use to do this particular stamping. So we're going to stamp pretty light. You don't want to press hard. And then you're just going to go and just stamp a few times. And I don't want to do the whole thing. I just want to do a portion of it. A little bit goes a long way. So you can just tap. There's no right and wrong on this one. I just kind of want to be a little bit behind when I put the snowflake on. Okay, so I'm happy with that, so I'm going to set that aside. Now, I just wanted to point out before we keep going, check out my nails. My 11-year-old actually wanted to paint them before I started my video. This is a color that she picked out at Walmart, and it's kind of like a, I don't know, a Barbie pink. Maybe Barbie pink's a little bit darker, but she was very excited to make my nails, so thought I'd show them to you on camera. All right, let's start with our velvet paper. Where did that go? Right here. So we're going to take one of our daubers. Now, the daubers have a finger hole, so you can use them like that, or you could just hold them on like, you know, you would a regular pencil or something. And the fun part of this velvet paper is you can use it as is, or you can actually change the color with whatever ink you pick. So I picked the Pool Party for this one. And you don't need it to be perfect. So we're going to take our dauber, and you're just going to grab some ink on your dauber. Just dab it off a couple of times just so it's not as dark when you go through. And you're just going to rub that color on. And don't worry if you have white spots, because you kind of want it not to be perfect. All right, so let's keep going, get that all done. I wish you could feel what this paper feels like, because it is so smooth. Well, not smooth. It's so soft is what it is, and it's so much fun to play with. All right, when you are done with the color, what we're doing is we're actually using the snowflake thinlits, and this is the biggest one that comes in the pack. And I cut the piece of paper just to fit it perfectly because I don't want to waste this paper. It comes as 12 by 12 sheets. And when you purchase it, you get actually 2 12 by 12 sheets in your package. So I'm going to put that through the Big Shot. And I usually run it through the Big Shot 2 or 3 times just because it's kind of an intricate design. I want it to be really cut out and make sure that all of those little spots are cut out properly. So after you run it through the Big Shot, you can actually look at the back side just to kind of get an idea as to whether it's completely cut. And if it isn't, just run it through one more time through your Big Shot so that you can get it nice and cut. So we can take it out of that. You can actually keep this piece because you can reuse it on a different card. No need to waste it. Now to poke out these little pieces, I'm using my Take Your Pick tool that's new to Stampin' Up. You have seen me use it before. And you can actually poke out all of these little spots to get them out. Takes a little bit of patience, but take your time and get them all out. If you're finding that it's coming off, you can take it out of that Thinlit die and then just go back. You can actually see that it has, and look at the back side, so that way you can see where to poke them. Look at how pretty that is once all of those little intricate spots have been poked out of there. Is that gorgeous? And it just feels so soft. Okay, so that's the first layer of our snowflake. Now the dies, the Thinlits that come with this particular suite that is only available in November and only while supplies last, you can see has lots of different ones. Some of them are duplicates, so you'll see here so that you can actually just run it through your Big Shot once and poke out a whole bunch of different little snowflakes. Some of them go together, so you can cut out the outside and you can cut out the inside as well. And you'll see that some of them are more like a flower, and that's because there is more of a flowery stamp set that goes with the November products as well, but I chose not to focus on that one and only work with the Snow is Glistening for the Stamping 411. So for the second layer, I used this snowflake here, and I actually cut it out in Night of Navy, so you can see beautiful intricate design. And they're made so that they actually go together. So when you layer them and adhere them together, look at that, how pretty. So to adhere the Night of Navy to the velvet paper, I actually did it in two parts. So I actually already added a glue dot to the back, so we're just gonna grab our glue dots with the picker tool, and that'll keep it kind of into place while the glue is drying. So we're gonna take our fine tip glue pen, and we're gonna add just little bits of glue in the little spots on the back of our snowflake, okay? And that does take a little bit of time to dry, which is why I added that glue dot on there, just to kind of hold it into place a little bit. Make sure that your spots that you're covering, you're not adding too much glue because it will kind of ooze out when you press it down. So once I have all of my spots covered, I go back and I just kind of spread it a little bit so that there's not one big glob in a spot. And the good thing is, even if it does ooze out a little bit, it dries clear, so you won't see it too much. All right, so we're just going to center that and press it down. Now, I often will put something on top of it just to kind of lay it flat and give it some time to dry. So I'm going to set that aside for now and let that dry while we do the next step. For the next step, I'm using that 3/4 of an inch piece that I cut out, and I decided to use the greeting from the stamp set. That's this one here that says, "Sending a blizzard of wishes for a wonderful season." And don't press hard on your ink pad, just lightly tap it, but make sure that middle is inked up nice. And then we're going to stamp that. The beauty of these see-through stamps, the photopolymer, is that you can see exactly where it's going to stamp, and then just lightly take it off. I found my Night of Navy is a little bit wet, so just if yours is the same, just give it a minute or so before you start putting your fingers on it, because my first time I did it, it actually smeared. So I'll be more careful this time. So I'm going to take my paper snips, and I'm just going to cut the ends to make kind of a little upside down V. So I'm going to adhere my Night of Navy cardstock to my card before I put the greeting on. I think I just ran out, maybe. Oh, no, I still have some. All right, just nail that on there. Center it on your cardstock. And then for the greeting, I'm actually going to use dimensionals because I love to pop things up on my cards, as you already probably know. So for this, I like to put 3 dimensionals because I don't want that middle to kind of sink in, especially if you're putting it through the mail. You want that to stay kind of level with the other 2 sides. We're going to take that off, and then we're going to adhere that to the left-hand top part there. So in real life, I would have let that Night of Navy layer dry a little bit longer, but because we're doing this on video, I'm going to show you the next couple of steps. If you were on my Facebook page yesterday, you saw that I kind of gave 3 different choices as to how to design the middle of this snowflake, and it looked like a lot of people liked this one, so I thought I would pick this one. So we're going to go back in with our fine tip glue pen, and we're going to add that glue to the back side so that it stays on really well. Again, you can do a little bit on each of the, I want to call them branches, the sides, I guess, of the snowflake. So there you go. And in real life, I would still let that dry probably for about an hour before I move it. So we're going to add that to our card, and I like to have a little bit of it overlap my greeting and the ends to go kind of just past that Night of Navy, like that. And again, I would put something over it at this point just to kind of hold it down so that this glue has time to dry. And don't forget, when you're done using it, make sure you put that lid back on because it's going to dry on the inside and it will be near impossible to get it back in. So do that so that your glue is always going to come out. So I showed you last week these beautiful trinkets. There is 2 different designs. They are just gorgeous. They have little rhinestones in the middle and 2 little different snowflakes. I'm going to use this one here because that's the one that my 11-year-old daughter told me to use, and I trust her. To put it on, I'm going to use another glue dot, stick it right in the middle, and then I'm going to stick it into the middle of that Night of Navy one. Okay, so when I started with this card, I had designed it a little bit different, and then I created the card and glued it all together and realized that I missed a step. And you know what? I missed it in this card too. So I just, because it's still a little bit wet, I was able to peel it off. And I'm going to show you kind of a step it up version from what we just finished. So we're going to use this beautiful silver ribbon, and it is a metallic edge ribbon. It's white and it has silver on it. And it's really nice and soft. It's beautiful. So I cut a piece of ribbon approximately 12 inches and already did the ends the way that I like them. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in 3, approximately the same size. And then we're going to take it and we're going to put that in the middle of where our snowflake is going to go. Kind of like that. And I'm going to just grab some regular dollar store tape. And this is kind of a clear tape, so hopefully it won't show quite as much. And we're going to glue this down like that in the middle of where that snowflake is going to go. And see how I just took that apart? Thankfully I was able to because it was still wet. So I'm going to re-glue that and show you what it looks like with the ribbon on there. All right, so see the difference between my original card, which is just, it's beautiful on its own without the ribbon. And then with this one here, added just a little bit of ribbon at the back, and it just gives it a little something something that is a little extra special. And those are the 2 versions. I hope you enjoyed this video. We have 2 more videos coming up this month with this Snow is Glistening stamp set. And don't forget, I'm doing something new this month. So if you actually purchase the Snow is Glistening stamp set with a minimum purchase of $60 of anything else after that, then I'm going to send you the 4 cut cards to make the cards that are done. So the stamping is not going to be done, but I will have all the pre-cut cardstock to make the cards. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up or a comment and let me know what you think, and you have a wonderful weekend. Bye.